He has the power.
Oh, okay, I get
Just
that.
don't know how to use it. You know, I just don't know how to use it. I have to have technical people beside me.
Assistant.
Yeah, I have to have assistant. He'll be asking for a raise as his assistant.
Yeah, where's my, was I not in tech service budget?
Technical assistant increase. Just let me know when you're ready. All right, well, welcome back to our 2022 budget proposals. Next up, we have the Public Defender's Office. And unfortunately, I don't know your name, so you'll have to tell us.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Willis, and I am, I've recently joined the Dawson County Public Defender's Office. I worked in Hall County for a number of years before that, and I just got up here. Mr. Morris, the head of our office, is maybe been exposed to COVID, so we let him stay home,
There you go.
and I'm gonna be here talking to y'all.
Is he doing okay otherwise?
He doesn't feel great, but he's asymptomatic as far as COVID goes.
And I'll save you a little bit of time. If you look at their request, it's about $1,269 increase over what they had in 2021. 300 of that's in supplies and materials. Some of that is also in salary and stuff like that. So mainly, the reason they made the grade to come today is the new position they're requesting. So if you want to talk about that, that would be great.
Yes, sir. A little bit of background. Our office opened up here in 2005 in January. It had funding for an entry-level attorney and I think one staff member. Since then, it's we've been given one entry-level attorney and one more legal assistant. That has, because of the growth in Dawson County, that's no longer adequate as far as we see. Our office is currently staffed with 3 attorneys, 1 investigator, and 1 administrative assistant. So the attorneys, we're in the courtroom all the time. The investigator, her job is to kind of go out in the field, sometimes track down our clients. We have a lot of difficulty with that, having indigent clients that often don't have stable residences or don't have, the means to have a constant phone number, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one of our investigators' jobs. And the administrative assistant, currently we're in the historic courthouse. She sits there in the front. And she answers phones. She does, we get a lot of clients that pop in. And like I said, I worked in Hall County for a number of years. That didn't happen there. That was something really different for me to adjust to. The number of clients that just pop in to check on their case, which we're appreciative of, but it's become an issue when we're in court. Sometimes we'll have a calendar with 300 and some people. We did last week, and 3 attorneys that are up there in front of the judge isn't enough to kind of control our clients and wrangle them and make sure they know what's going on. So we have to bring the support staff with us. That leaves the courthouse over there empty.
Where is your office downstairs?
We kind of have the whole thing, other than the historical society has one side of it, but we do have, we don't use the courtroom upstairs, but we do have an office over there for our investigator.
Upstairs. So
Yes,
you
ma'am.
use downstairs and upstairs?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
And are you over there every day?
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
you?
Yeah.
Well, we do
That's
have
the-
a working
That's the
courthouse.
oldest working courthouse in the state of Georgia.
I know, but I didn't realize that they were there that much. I mean, I knew
Oh,
the
yeah.
historical side of it.
We're there.
Excellent.
I think our admin assistant gets there at 8, so we're there 8 to 5 every day.
My plan Frogger going across that walkway.
I know
We've
it.
all
I
almost
wish-
been hit.
I don't know what can be done about that, but that is a problem.
Mhm. Yeah, because we all park across that crosswalk in that little lot right there.
Yes.
And yeah, it's scary sometimes.
It is. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Well, rest assured that there's constantly people in that courthouse. Yes, ma'am, we do. Currently, we use that at one point, we did have the admin assistant working exclusively from the office. I guess it's second floor, so it's over there. But that was a little bit too much of a disconnect between with the attorneys being in the historic courthouse and her being over here. So now we use it for our days in court. So when we have trials, when we have those long calendar calls, whatever, we keep our stuff over there. We have our client meetings over there. One of the admin will come and sit over there. But again, having someone in there and then someone in the courtroom leaves the historic courtroom empty. And oftentimes our clients get confused about where to appear when they say, go to the courthouse. Well, they know we're in the historic one. So someone needs to be over there to say, wrong one, go down there. Like I said, our Dawsonville's growing, therefore our caseload is growing. Right now we have 775 open cases. That's due to the growth, but also the pandemic, of course, slowed things down.
Slowed things down. Would you have more than 775?
But it slowed
No,
things
as
down
far as the
and
processing.
Oh,
Right.
I thought, oh Lord, how many would you have? 1,000?
it
process.
inhibited our ability to close the cases.
Oh, okay.
Because we weren't, we couldn't have.
I
trials
got
or
it. I got
anything. No, I would hope we would not have more than that.
it. Oh, I know.
But our admin are no longer sufficient to support the attorneys. So our attorneys spend a lot of time doing tasks that their energy would be better spent on representation or, studying case law or whatever. We're in court constantly, multiple times a week. So that leaves us with very little time to investigate our cases. And we do have an investigator, but it's too much for our one investigator, frankly. Our office represents the majority of the criminal cases in Dawson County. And we do that along with the DA's office. Obviously, the DA's office handles all of the criminal cases. They currently have 13 staff. We have 5. I think that's one of our biggest issues is the disparity between their team members and ours. Like I said, our attorneys just spend a lot of time doing things that would be more appropriate for an administrative assistant or a legal assistant. So again, we're asking for 2 new positions. We've kind of described them as a legal assistant and a social worker. So I'll start with a social worker. We actually call them, we have one of these individuals in Hall County as well, and she does help us up here, but not as much as, she's not able to as much as we would like. We call them alternative sentencing specialists. So more and more often, judges and DAs are willing to sentence our clients to some sort of treatment rather than time in custody. And the idea behind this is if the people that have these drug issues or these mental health issues, if they get help now, down the road, we're cutting down on crime. But with that being said, our indigent clients don't have the means to get their own placements in these programs. There's plenty in the area. Some of them cost money. Some of them, like I said, our clients, they don't have any support on the outside. They don't have family or support system. Therefore, they're stuck in custody. And we say, well, if you get into a rehab, you can get out. They have no one to do that. What we would like is for one of the new positions to be able to do that. There is a certain amount of training or education that would be needed for that position. I think a bachelor's degree would be necessary. There are plenty of courses in, I know UNG has a great like social work program. So, it's a position that I know we could get filled with a great candidate. We just need the position. This social worker, they have to be kind of a people person. They have to have relationships with the directors of these programs. They have to get to know them. They need these directors to trust them. It's a very in-depth job where they are very immersed in the rehabilitative community. And it's just something that our current staff doesn't have time to do. And so that's to the detriment of our clients, that sometimes they might sit in custody longer while they're waiting to get a placement because we can't get, our alternative sentencing specialist from Hall County. She's not available to come up. And our current staff just doesn't have the same relationships and connections that she has to, find our clients the appropriate placements. And it's not just rehab. What we need from this person is sometimes a judge or a DA is just concerned about our client getting out and having no place to go. Well, one of this person's jobs would be find housing, help find a job. A lot of our clients don't have, Social Security, Medicaid, all that. That could be one of her tasks or his. There's also outpatient rehab. Sometimes they can get out of custody if they'll just go to an outpatient treatment program. Well, they're still going to need housing. They're still going to need to be set up with that outpatient. And what we never want is for our clients, especially with the reputation that a lot of public defenders offices have, we never want our clients to feel abandoned or forgotten. And I think oftentimes that can happen when we say, oh, we got you this great deal, you just got to go to rehab, and then they can't do that. Another issue we have that I think this person would be great for is our sex offender clients. There's such an issue where they serve their time, they get out, there's nowhere they can live. There's a lot of them that they end up under bridges. And of course, that's not going to help anything. Finding housing or programs for them, that's something they could do. A lot of times, and that takes a big weight off the attorney to say, great, I worked this part out and now I can leave it to our social worker and I know she's going to find them a place to go, and I'll file a motion and they'll get out of custody and hopefully, be successful from then on out. Again, the idea is that these oftentimes repeat offenders will quit being repeat offenders because they finally get the treatment that they need. When I worked in Hall County, one of the big things that the social worker did was also, as attorneys with these caseloads, we don't have a lot of time to talk to all the wives and mothers and families of these people, but we want them to know that they're being represented, they're being taken care of. We just can't sit and talk to them on the phone for an hour about it. In Hall County, that was one thing that the social worker was really good at, kind of assuring the worried, stressed out family members that we were taking care of the case, and explaining, what the process was and what we were doing. And that honestly, like I said, took a big stressor off the attorney, but it also kind of ended up being a time saver because those people don't continuously call over and over because they know, they've heard that they're being taken care of. So that's what we need from the social worker. And the next thing we need is a legal assistant. Again, we have an admin assistant right now. She can do some legal work, but there's so many just basic motions, boilerplate things that we have to file as soon as someone's arrested. And having someone that could do those, there's no legal arguments in any of those or anything, but that would just save us so much time and give us more time to go to the jail or, obviously, again, we're in court several days a week. And another thing that takes up a lot of the attorney's time is the accountability courts here. We do staff all of those. They have meetings once a week to once every couple weeks, but that takes up all day. And then we represent the clients that are going through the drug court and the mental health court. And so we have to deal with those clients outside of the actual court as well. So that takes up a lot of time. And that's where a legal assistant would be helpful to, again, file those motions, to be able to talk to clients. Again, just one of the most simple issues we have is that sometimes no one's there to answer the phone. And of course, I would be the same way, but people are panicking and irritated that no one's picking up their phone call. Well, we simply just don't have enough people for someone to be there answering the phones. And so that's something that the legal assistant could do as well. Again, just Dawson County is so unique in that we're lucky enough to have that historic courthouse, but I think because of its popularity, we get people popping in constantly, and just having another person to kind of wrangle those people or set up meetings. That's another thing. Just even having someone handle our calendars. Right now, our admin assistant handles the calendars for all 775 cases, and it's frankly too much for one person to handle. And she's in charge of keeping all the files organized, and she's able to do it, but it takes away time from her doing the basic stuff like answering the phone or, sitting at her desk. And I would just like there to be more of a presence so that everyone is able to take care of their task and their duties without worrying about our clients feeling they're not getting the adequate representation. Another thing that we have issues with, and kind of a disparity between the DA's office and our office, is the DA's office, in addition to their 13 people staff, they have the assistance of the sheriff's office. And so therefore, if they need to go get someone, the sheriff's office can do it. If we need to find a client, a lot of time is spent, usually by the attorney, sometimes the investigator, just driving to these random addresses that we have, trying to get a client, telling them, I know you didn't get noticed because you move around all the time or whatever, but you've got to be in court. And that's something that we need assistance with. That takes up a lot of time.
Why can't you have access to the sheriff's?
Good question, but we don't
Okay.
have that luxury if we, for whatever reason, it's, and it's understandable when people don't show up to court, how frustrating that can be. But it's something that I think most of the Superior Court judges expect us to handle.
Mhm.
And so that's just one of those things that it gets us out of the office. It takes a lot of time. It takes time and energy away from actually legally representing our clients.
Would that require, if you have another position, if they're going out, does that require fixed assets like a vehicle or anything like that?
No, we would, we always just use our own vehicles. We do have the ability to use mileage, get payment for that.
Okay.
Do you have space for any more people in the?
Yes, ma'am. We have another office upstairs, and another thing we would like to do is have probably the legal assistant actually stationary in this courthouse, in our office over there.
Oh.
So that just to have more of a presence in the courthouse. I think it's nice that we're lucky enough to have that office, and if we could constantly have someone there, I think it would.
If you had to choose between the social worker or the legal assistant, which would you choose?
I would probably choose the legal assistant.
We got them ranked that way.
Got what?
They've got them ranked 1,
Oh.
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I
Um,
didn't know that was right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, I think that what a social worker would be great, but if we're only able to get one position, I think the legal assistant is going to be more beneficial. They might be able to do a bigger variety of tasks to help the attorneys out.
The social worker, that's post sentencing?
Sometimes, not always. A lot of times it is, but a lot of times for the DA or the judge to agree to give our client a bond, they'll say, well, they have to be in treatment for me to bond them out. So I would say most of the time it's post sentencing or part of a probation revocation or something, but it can be on the front end as well.
So how many people would be in that program now? Or how many people are in that program from Dawson County or from the Dawson County Court?
That are in treatment programs right now?
I mean,
Or-
that would happen, that the social worker would deal with.
I would say maybe almost at the most a third of our clients, probably, but I would say it's around
A
there.
third of this 775?
Yes. Would you agree, Isabel? Yeah. Yeah, and I think that number's only going up. It's more and more the judges are open to things like that. And that also gets people out of our jail, which can be beneficial to the county. Again, the biggest thing is just to have representation. I don't want our clients to feel forgotten. And I think that right now we just simply don't have enough staff to kind of keep up with our clients. We're not asking for another attorney. That part we're okay on. It's support for the attorneys. And I guess just to wrap things up, again, we're asking for 2 positions. The social worker is going to need some sort of training and education. I believe Isabel asked for that would need to be around 40,000. The legal assistant would be about the same. I think we quoted 38, but it would allow us to address the needs of all of our clients in the county. One thing that I did forget that might be something that the legal assistant could do is that Hall County has an indigent defense office that we don't have here. Technically, the Hall County one is supposed to handle Dawson County as well, but that falls on our office's shoulders to qualify a client. So when somebody comes in and they think they are going to qualify for a public defender, in Hall County, they would go to the indigent defense office, which is totally separate from the public defender. But here they come into our office and have to do the application. And right now our admin assistant does that. And again, like the initial application itself is 3 pages. So that's just something that takes up a lot of time that we definitely need another body for. This proposal would still, I know I talked a lot about the disparity between our office and the DA. It still wouldn't bring us up to their level, but I do think that it would definitely be beneficial to our office, our county, our clients, and the whole court system. That way we're able to do more. We're able to close out cases quicker. We're able to get people out of custody quicker. And I think it would just really help the whole system run smoother.
Questions for Sarah? Thank you, ma'am.
I think she covered it very well.
Good job. Thank
Thanks.
you.
All right, thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we'll wait for the Humane Society to come. And they were scheduled for 11:30 and it's 11:12. So it should be showing up here fairly quickly.
Who's gonna come for them, do you know? Mhm.
They try to reschedule theirs because
Mhm.
Mhm.
had a conflict. I don't know if they were able to work that out. A week or two or- had a conflict. I don't know if they were able to work that out.
He's the chairman of the board, Tim
Probably.
Small, I think.
Let's go ahead and, as you can see, looking at your paper, the Humane Society is just asking for, they're asking for an additional 15,000. And so I imagine they will explain that request of additional 15,000 when they get here, what that will be useful. I think they did send some information that you could have read that had to do with an increase in animals and stuff like that that came in as well. They'll explain that 15,000 when they come.
Was there an IGA or something with the city in them at some point?
Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
Mhm.
There is. They pay for theirs.
And I wonder if these numbers are including the city's numbers.
I don't know how much they get from the city actually. I don't know. For part of that, yeah. Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of our loss negotiation. Is that what's part of that? IGA part of that? Speaking of loss, we gotta do that here for long. Lost.
Yeah.
Lost negotiations, we gotta do
Is that
that for
next
long. But we gotta do it for next year. We don't wanna wait till the last minute,
What's the drop dead date on that thing?
end of next year, I believe. It's the end of next year. So they start meeting on that a little bit later on this year, I think.
I don't want to get voted on.
That's just the negotiation. Negotiate it. If you can't come to an agreement, you get nothing. State.
Well, being at the new census data, just put the city.
Well, I think that, whatever that number winds up being when we get 2020 numbers in it, that's what we do. You know, I don't think it should be a difficult then. We'll have brand new numbers.
Well, the irony is, like, you know, as we, that Georgia Tech study showed that for every new resident in the city side, it costs us more money. So technically, an increase in population for them is a increasing in expenses for us. So every house that gets built in the city is an increase in cost for the county. It's kind of counterintuitive to base it on population growth because it costs us more money.
You see the increase in the number of animals. I guess that's where 15,000 is coming.
That'll be part of it. Yeah.
Mm.
It's paid on quarterly, so we're gonna use some of that for salary increases or whatever.
Won't get on my soapbox again, but I just, spay and neutering is the answer. What half this if people just spay and neutered?
Other than just what they turn out, it's all you have then.
It's
Turn
so
out some.
simple.
That's what's amazing to me. That, you know, an animal that somebody's had for 10 years and then all of a sudden they just,
Yeah,
I don't want.
I don't understand. I'm with them to the end. I got one, me and him both about at the end, so we just have a good time.
Y'all gonna go out together.
We're going out together. That's who I have with me when I'm on Hardy Fawcett Road. I just cuddle him.
Okay.
Good ears. Good ears. I know that's Tim, but he is so excellent.
You can take it out if you want to. Mhm.
He can adopt and someone.
Jason is on.
He's right there,
Yeah, you can.
right behind.
Oh,
He sneaked in on you.
Jason, he was about to make a derogatory comment.
His
about you.
review was coming up and I was gonna ask for some input. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
So as I said before, they had requested 15,000 additional dollars, so we'll let you explain what that would be for.
Uh, The 15,000, obviously last year we did not have an increase, nobody did that I'm aware of, but we certainly did not. Looking at the budget going into 2022, we've identified right around $62,000 to $65,000 in additional expenses, which we wouldn't have had this year. 26 of that, 26,000 is part of $1 an hour raise that we've given our staff effective August this month. And then on top of that, we try to give at the end of the year longevity bonuses, awards, and then bonuses that typically amount to about $2,000, give or take, total. Yeah. So with $1 an hour raise plus the bonuses, that's going to add about roughly 24 to 26,000 for next year. That's on top of $1 that we also gave last year, I think effective September 1st. And so we've seen a $2 an hour, 20%, if you will, labor increase. Workman's comp is going to be going up a little bit. It's not significant, but it is going up for us. That is having an impact on us. One of the wild cards that we're facing in the county is a whole feral cat situation. We don't know how to budget for it. We don't know what exactly to put into the cost, but what we do know along the Georgia 400 corridor, we're getting more and more reports from businesses of having these cats. And we don't have to get into the weeds right now, but Jason could certainly let you know, we did receive a grant. The grant was
for $5,000 to cover just the surgery costs of getting them spayed and neutered. It's an average of about $50 a cat. So we're hoping to do about 100 cats, partnering with animal control.
but that is also this year.
Correct. Well,
Yeah.
we've got till, it was issued this year, we've got 12 months.
Right. We will obviously go after more grants.
Mhm.
On a side note, I'd also like to thank Sharon again. You provided us with some grant options. We were successful with this. I think that was one of
Yes.
the names
Mhm.
that you provided to us. The other thing that we're doing is we have benchmarked other humane society animal shelters in the area. The larger ones have full-time grant writers or writer on their staffs. They're compensated, they're paid. Some, not a lot, some quite a bit. We've been fortunate that we just recently had one of our board members step forward along with her husband. They both have vast business experience that will help take on that role and for us. Unfortunately, we just don't know what that might amount to.
Right.
But
Do they know where to find the grants? They know, not just to write them, but they know
That'll be
which
part
ones.
of the process. We know a couple of the big names, Maddie's Fund, Best Friends, some of those, but that'll be part of their undertaking as well as researching A lot of grants look good face value until you get in there and then start seeing specifics of what their requirements are and what they're looking for. So what we're looking for may not quite line up, and we have to move on to the next grant.
So when you're looking for a grant, what are you wanting the money for? Is it mainly for spay and neutering, or, I mean, I
Spay
know
and
there's
neuter
so
is-
much, but.
Several out there for spay and neuter. Some are for operating, some are for specific upgrades, modifications. They want pictures of, existing kennels and cat rooms and proposals of what you're wanting to do and upgrade. Increasing space and is one I saw recently. If you're able to increase like cat cage space and that sort of thing. There's grants out
Do
there.
you
for
get
those
more
sorts of things.
cats or dogs? Which do you get more
We're
of?
probably 2 to 1 cats over dogs right now.
More cats.
It'd probably be better term is kittens.
Yeah.
We get a lot of kittens, which is not bad because those are the more attractive or more adoptable versus the older cats. So.
Yeah, well, are y'all, can y'all be part of this American Rescue Act? I mean, can we claim COVID on some of this, that people lost their jobs and they're turning their animals over to you? Are y'all part of that? I mean, everybody seems to be getting in on that. Why can't the Humane Society?
Fortunately, knock on wood, our return rate is running about the same as it has been the last couple of years.
Oh,
So,
okay.
the kittens are just all the kittens that are people keep finding and showing up on their porch or in their backyard. Last week or week before, we were had just broken the 200 mark on kittens that we've taken in this year.
I think going back to the grant question, every grant we apply for is very specific in nature. You have to justify it, when the money will be used, how it will be used. We had mentioned in last year's request and this year as well, we have 2 old vans that have got to get replaced. Jason, thank God, is a part-time mechanic, but we're not, hopefully that can be covered either through a grant or through separate donations. Hopefully, but at the same time, we're looking at that probably going to cost around 20 to 25,000 based on what these will be worth to try to trade them in, the 2 existing vehicles. So, I mean, and back to the question, another thing that we're seeing rising costs on regarding the budget is vet fees. All the vets are busy. They're all slammed. Once upon a time, it was very easy to find part-time vets that would come like to our facility at a very reasonable cost and help us with our spay and neuters. Just to give you a feel, in 2019, our vet expenses were a little bit over $13,000. In 2020, that went up to almost 39,000. Part of it is just because, number one, we lost our part-time vet who decided to become an entrepreneur. She's opened up her own clinic now and is doing very well. We do go to her, but we don't get much of a break. And that's pretty true for the vets. We do get some breaks. But the fact is, it's still, their costs are going up, their med costs are going up, staff, the same story. So the good news is this year we're tracking for that number in 2021 to be around 26,000. But it's still double. And that's probably where it will be going into next year. So that's hit us a little bit from an intake standpoint. Since Jason has started, which is what, going on 7?
Yeah, 7 years.
The number of intakes that we have brought into the shelter have more than doubled. It was around 500, give or take, when Jason came in. This year, we're looking at almost 1,000. That's cats, dogs, all animals. And so with the same facility we have, aging facility, we're basically handling twice the number of animals that we've handled in the past. The county, just as an FYI, the county typically represents around 37% on average of that intake number, give or take. The contribution towards our budget that we traditionally have received from the county has been around 25 to 28% of our overall expenses. And that's tracking if we get the increase from what we're projecting to hold true. In other words, if you want to look at it as percent of our overall intake, the county, I'm not gonna say getting a deal. Wow, yeah, you're getting a deal. But the number of animals that we're taking in from the county represents a greater portion than, let's say, the budget that we're receiving, which we're very grateful for. And that is definitely needed. The other thing that we don't have the luxury of, if a person brings an animal in to us who's in distress, hurt, severely hurt, well, Jason typically will take it. But we do have an option of telling somebody, listen, this animal needs to be checked out. It's showing, maybe it's showing an illness that we don't want to bring into the shelter. With the county, we pretty much, correct? We take everything that's brought to us, no matter what now, very cooperative relationship. We'll get that animal to a vet immediately if it needs immediate service. But, how much more do the intake animals that we get from the county require medically versus from the street? Don't have that number, but rest assured, it's probably a little bit more than what we get in from owner surrenders. So that plays into it a little bit as well.
And when you say county, you're talking about from our animal.
Dawson,
control.
exactly,
And is
for
that-
our contract.
and then where are your other sources? So you got county coming in with animal control, bringing them in. You've got residents or
Owner
whatnot,
surrenders.
Personal owner
And then
surrenders.
you have city is separated out, or do you include that in the county?
We've taken in, we're probably pushing 40, 45 from the city this year. Hasn't been a huge number, but taking in some from them. Some are strays. I mean, some will, people find them, just bring them in. If we've got space, we'll try and go ahead and take them. And then the personal owner surrenders. And then if we've got space, we've tried to partner. We've partnered a little bit with Gilmer County and Hall County. And then as a reciprocal thing, they deal more transport than we do. So we're starting to.
In other words, they don't have the adoption teams that we have. So they move out
They transport.
versus we adopt. We don't transport out that many. We adopt the vast majority of our animals.
We've been working with them with some of our, especially some of our long-term animals or harder to place ones that working with some of their transports to get some of our guys out.
Needs to be noted too, the Petcos and the Pet Smarts. Most of you are probably aware of this, but they corporately have started no longer accepting puppy mill animals or cats from breeders. And so they now are relying on shelters like ours, which is great, to stock their cages, if you will, with animals. In return, they have been very generous with us with donations, food, miscellaneous toys, leftover stuff. There's actually a Petco or PetSmart in Marietta. Petco, believe it or not, there's one little store over there. For some reason, it's just been very generous in helping us out with items. But in return, we need to make sure we have animals that we can put in their cages. And so Jason kind of works with Gilmore and some of these other, like if we're running short on cats or kittens, if you will, it does give us that flexibility to make sure we're maintaining the good relationships that we have with the stores that are also obviously our key offsite adoption locations on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Y'all get revenue when you adopt them out? I mean, do they do a charge when you adopt them and then y'all get a percentage of that or something?
From the other counties or from
From the
Petco? No, we get our full adoption fee.
So you do get adopted.
Yes.
How much does that make up your budget?
Not much. I think we're adoption fees are 85 for dogs, 70 for cats, a little more for kittens and puppies. Probably a 10 to 12% of our budget is from adoption fee.
And we did raise it, by the way, up $10. And you may have noticed Forsyth County for a while, a few months ago.
Yeah, they did the whole month. Adoption fees were free.
And
Of June, month of July.
we've not had to do that. Ironically, what we do get a lot of is, this happened Saturday when I was helping out at PetSmart, where people will, they see a dog, they can't adopt it, but they'll pay for the adoption. So, we get a fair amount of that, which is nice. I mean, we have a very, supportive community. But, the adoption fees don't, like Jason said, it's important. And it's also important that you want to see people have the wherewithal to be able to do that.
Yeah.
We've got to make sure they can afford vet bills and food down the road. So it's kind of a juggling act. But any other questions?
Questions? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for what you do.